warm welcome to another episode of Service to Humanity, the program created purposely to bring you updates on the activities of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development as it coordinates humanitarian activities in the country. My name is Hafsat Mustafa Hadija, your regular anchor. In our lineup this week, we bring you details of the consultative meeting organized by the Northeast Development Commission on the Masterplan for the Development and Stabilization of the Northeast. We will also continue with our review of major events in the Humanitarian Ministry in 2021. This time, our focus will be on the National Homegrown School Feeding Program. Please stay tuned with us for the full package. I will be back shortly.
The program is key to helping young Nigerians acquire and develop.
The federal government of Nigeria remains committed to including and protecting persons with disabilities to guarantee that no one is left behind.
I see that we are going through challenging times, and I see this woman running all about the country trying to help our people, because this lady is doing a very good job for our country.
Thank you.
Thank you for all what you have been doing for us.
We will start with news around the ministry. Highlights include World Food Program makes good its promise to support the next level of homegrown school feeding program. Details of these and other stories in our management diary. Keep watching.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has received digital equipment from the United Nations World Food Programme as part of a partnership between the two organizations to enhance the national homegrown school feeding program across Nigeria. The equipment, which comprises laptops, tablets and other digital equipment, were received by Engineer Umar Binder on behalf of the Minister. The UNWFP also presented a publication of the joint assessment of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program that was conducted by it and the Ministry. Speaking during the handover, the country director of the UN World Food Program, Ronald Sibanda, commended the federal government for the school feeding initiative and the Ministry for its commitment to the implementation of the program. He then spoke on the next level and the partnership the WFP is offering.
The government wants to build on its success by improving the menu design, strengthening linkages between farmers and the schools, and formalizing procurement systems, including trainings for the government, joint assessments to ensure that the new ideas are of benefit to the program. WFP is here today to support that process. We are pleased to provide a significant transfer of ICT equipment to help improve, scale up, and sustain the program.
Speaking on behalf of the Minister, Engineer Umar Binder appreciated the unflinching support of the United Nations World Food Programme. Describing the UNWFP as a trusted global brand, Binder said its partnership with the Ministry has only spurred it on to do more to achieve the objectives of the Homegrown School Feeding Program.
Today you are here to deliver an additional hand for us to professionally ensure efficiency and effectiveness. This digital equipment that you have brought here, as you indicated, will go a long way to improve the quality of delivery of our own technical officers in the field, in designing the foods, in ensuring that data is analyzed quickly, in ensuring that reports are prepared quickly, and ensuring that communication is done effectively.
The Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, has urged casework officers in the Social Development Department of the Ministry to stay informed, acquire new knowledge and skills, as well as maintain an improved standard of practice. She disclosed this at a capacity building workshop on counseling strategy for casework officers in the Social Development Department of the Ministry who are involved in social services like marital disputes, financial and medical assistance, as well as provision of economic empowerment materials for the poor and vulnerable in the country. The minister, represented by Mansour Kulia, Acting Director of the Social Development Department, said that continuous improvement of skills of an organization's workforce provides an opportunity for the workforce to enhance and increase their capacities to perform their jobs in effective and efficient ways. Mr. Emmanuel Udo, Deputy Director in the Social Development Department, on his part, expressed gratitude to the management of the ministry for giving approval for the workshop to hold. He thanked the resource persons who he said would bring their wealth of knowledge to bear on the training. The objectives of the workshop were to train and enhance the skills of case workers on the basic steps of casework management, to understand and apply social work principles and ethical conducts on counseling strategies in Nigeria, and to share experience and equip the officers with improved skills on social work practice.
Across the 6 geopolitical zones,
use this money for what it is meant for, efficiently to take care of their family.
In 36 states and the FCT. Over 6.4 million of Nigerians poorest of the poor in about 1.3 million households receive conditional cash transfers of 5,000 naira monthly under the Household Upliftment Program of the federal government. Their joy knows no bounds.
And the government is very well because they do work for us.
It helped me to do any other thing, my family.
Reducing absolute poverty, promoting shared prosperity through the Conditional Cash Transfer Initiative. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in service to humanity.
You are still watching Service to Humanity. The Northeast Development Commission is one of the agencies under the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. The Commission coordinates interventions towards rebuilding the northeastern region affected by insurgency. Along the lines of its mandate, it recently convened a stakeholders meeting to discuss strategies for implementation of its stabilization and development master plan. Our next segment has the details of this meeting.
The Northeast Development Commission was established by an act of the National Assembly as a direct response to the devastation and violence that the region has gone through due to the Boko Haram insurgency. The Commission is charged with the responsibility to recover, stabilize and develop the region, among others. To achieve this, the NEDC Establishment Act requires the Commission to develop a master plan based on the needs assessment for the region to be known as Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan. Recently, the NEDC organized a consultative meeting with federal ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, as well as security agencies. The purpose of the meeting, which took place in Abuja, was to interact with relevant security agencies and federal MDAs on the developing and implementation of the master plan.
President Muhammad Buhari also inaugurated the governing.
In her keynote address, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Ajia Sadia Umar Farouk, who was also the chief host of the event, said that the Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan was part of the present administration's effort under President Muhammadu Buhari to fast-track the development of the Northeast region following the devastation suffered as a result of the insurgency.
Prior to the establishment of the NEDC, various organizations set up by the Nigerian government were involved in the reconstruction, rehabilitation and provision of humanitarian interventions and action to the people of the Northeast. And some of the organizations that were collapsed into the Northeast Development Commission include the Presidential Initiative on the Northeast and the Presidential Committee on the Northeast Initiative.
The minister added that the meeting was in compliance with the President's directive to the NEDC board to consult and liaise with relevant stakeholders for the implementation of all programs and initiatives and proper utilization of funds released for interventions in the region.
The convening of this consultative session is in compliance with both Section 8(1)(c) of the NEDC Act as well as the Presidential Directive to the NEDC board. I wish to therefore commend the NEDC board for sticking to the plan and following due process in its implementation. Despite being in the process of developing the master plan, I am pleased to say that the NEDC has not been static and continues to leave its footprints across all the Northeast states with life-changing projects and programs for our citizens in the region.
In his address, the special guest of honor and executive governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, appreciated the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari and the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for putting the development of the Northeast on the agenda at all time. He also assured that efforts are already in place to ensure the successful implementation of the master plan, which he said is very important to peace and development in the Northeast region.
And let me open this brief intervention from my side by appreciating first the interest, support, and the consistency of action from the federal government of Nigeria, led by President Muhammadu Buhari. I thank the Honorable Minister for her tireless efforts, along with her team, to put the challenge of the Northeast on the agenda at all times. We all understand the enormity of the needs and the crucial role that consistent investment can play in bringing back not just peace and stability, but also prosperity of the Northeast and Nigeria as a whole. This is where this plan comes into cardinal importance. Who is not in hurry? Who is not in hurry for peace? Who is not impatient with poverty? That is why this plan must be ambitious, bold, brave, and comprehensive to cover the whole scope of issues in the Northeast of Nigeria.
Earlier in his welcome address, the Managing Director of NEDC, Muhammad Al-Ali, elaborated on some programs and schemes that should be contained in the master plan.
The master plan shall contain programs and schemes that promote and facilitate the physical and socio-economic development of the North region, as well as provide estimate of the time and cost of implementing the program and schemes. The NEDC Act also designates the Commission as the focal point to coordinate and harmonize all intervention programs and initiatives that the federal government involved with in the North region. Specifically, the Act provides that the Commission shall liaise with federal ministries, departments, agencies, states, and development partners on the implementation of all interventions approved in the master plan for the stabilization and development of the region.
In their various goodwill messages, some of the dignitaries that were present at the event, including security chiefs and ministers from various ministries of the Federation, made their contributions on the importance of the master plan to the development of the Northeast region.
This, indeed, is our own version of our own Marshall Plan. Of course, it becomes compelling for us at any given time, whether in the process or the aftermath of a crisis, a security crisis in which people's lives have been affected, for us to find a way of quickly re-establishing confidence in the people that have been affected, rebuilding their communities, and encouraging people to come back.
You will agree with me that this task is Herculean but not impossible as such. it has necessitated the birthing of this gathering. I would like to leverage my first-hand experience in the theater of operations in the Northeast to humbly say that at least I am familiar with the diverse challenges, sufferings, and devastations that have accompanied the war against terrorism in the region. To this end, I adjourn that our contributions and inputs be focused on the evolution of the master plan hinged around the development of infrastructure, social amenities and activities to win the hearts and minds of the populace in the Northeast region.
The establishment of the Northeast Development Commission has made us as one of the agents that has suffered from the destructions of both lives and properties from the threat of Boko Haram. We've enjoyed intervention in working foods, which ranges from receiving of bakes from the Commission that has aided our movement in the Northeast theater.
I begin by commending the effort of the supervising minister and the ministry of Northeast Development Commission, and also the Northeast Development Commission for organizing this consultative forum to discuss about Northeast stabilization and development plan. This is indeed very important and is also highly commendable.
The importance of planning in development cannot be overemphasized. This is because planning gives us direction and where we want to go and how we could get there in the most efficient and effective manner.
A key part of the event was an overview of the Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan by the lead consultant.
The NEDC would like to see a percentage of productive citizens in the region, possibly raising the productive citizens level in terms of percentage in the region from as low as we have it now, less than 20%, to as high as possibly 70%.
The program is still Service to Humanity from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. If you have been with us from the beginning, you would have seen the report where the World Food Programme visited the ministry to fulfill its pledge of supporting the National Homegrown School Feeding Programme to the next level. Our review of major events in 2021 under the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is therefore focused on the National Homegrown School Feeding Programme. Do stay tuned.
The National Homegrown School Feeding Program is one of the 4 clusters of the National Social Investment Programs. The program offers 1 free nutrient-rich meal a day to public school pupils in primary 1 to 3 across the states of the Federation.
I enjoy the food very well.
Designed as a collaborative effort between the federal, state and local governments, the program has 3 broad objectives, namely, to boost nutritional status of pupils, encourage school enrollment, as well as promote local economic activities. As at the end of 2021, over 9.8 million children had been enrolled into the school feeding program. The number is expected to reach 14 million pupils by the year 2023. To reposition the school feeding program post-COVID in January 2021, the 4th annual review meeting held to explore the theme Strengthening and Sustaining the School Feeding Program post-COVID-19. The meeting had clear objectives which were stated by officials and managers of the program.
This is an opportunity for us all to share the experiences of success and to reflect and discuss amongst ourselves the complex challenges plaguing the program and provide solutions on how to be more effective.
The objectives of this year review are to assess progress made since the 3rd annual review meeting, to identify challenges the program has encountered along the way, to identify and proffer sustainable solutions to those challenges. We would also hear from the states on how the National Homegrown School Feeding Program is running in their respective states, to review the National Homegrown School Feeding Program Implementation Manual, and to define and develop a work plan for 2021 for the program.
Each one of us here today has been selected by different persons at different times to achieve the same goals, which are to eliminate poverty in all its forms and uplift humanity.
Still in line with making the homegrown school feeding program more effective, a multi-sectoral committee to streamline roles of collaborators and ensure cohesion was inaugurated in May 2021. The committee comprised members drawn from 10 ministries, departments and agencies, namely Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Agriculture and Rural Development, Information, Culture and Tourism, Women Affairs, Industry, Trade and Investment, Water Resources, National Bureau of Statistics and Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajiya Sadiya Umar Farouk, was represented at the event by the Coordinator, National Social Investment Programs, Dr. Umar Binder, who called on members of the committee to play their roles effectively and work together for the success of the program and the overall development of the Nigerian child.
I want to encourage you, whether you are Federal Ministry of Planning, Finance and Budget, you are the custodian of a plan on how to fund it. It is important for you to sit around the table to understand this poverty equation, to understand this school feeding program, so that you can be able to ensure that it is funded properly, it is funded on time, and so on and so forth.
With schools finally reopening after the COVID-19 lockdown, the homegrown school feeding program recommenced across the country. The recommencement was formally flagged off for the presentation of utensils and aprons to participating schools in the Federal Capital Territory by the Minister. The event held at LGEA Primary School, Jabi. The distribution of utensils to participating schools was also carried out in participating states across the country. Following the recommencement of school feeding across the country, the minister decided on a monitoring and enumeration exercise.
A trouser and everything ready to.
An orientation exercise for staff of the ministry who will lead the exercise held in June 2021. The enumeration exercise was designed to verify and update existing data that will assist the ministry in its assessment of the impact of the program, foster transparency and accountability, put in place a sustainable plan for enrolling pupils in the homegrown school feeding program.
We have resolved that having environmental data of all the beneficiaries of this program will create an avenue for better program planning and implementation, and will create more room for releasing more beneficiaries. This will also foster transparency, accountability, in line with established processes and government regulations, and will further ensure judicious, accurate use of resources allocated to the ministry.
Following this decision on enumeration, the exercise was carried out across the country where quality of food was monitored, pupils' data was verified, aggregators visited, amongst other activities. One thing that was very obvious from the interactions with aggregators, food vendors and other stakeholders was that inflation was taking its toll on the national homegrown school feeding program.
Children are happy to come to school every time.
And so, in November 2021, the ministry organized a two-day workshop in Abuja for the review of the cost of feeding on the program. The objectives included deliberate and realistic cost of a meal per child based on available evidence, recommend an appropriate amount of a meal per child for the feeding program, and recommend possible alternative funding sources for the program. The program had in attendance state focal persons, both on ground and virtually, program managers, state nutritionists, amongst other stakeholders.
We have been organizing this for a long time, and we're happy that it's finally seen the light of the day. Everybody knows that the 17 naira is just not enough, and what the effort that we put into this activity would make or break the effort that the ministry is making towards getting an increment in the payment cost.
On this note, we end the program. Join me again same time next week for another episode of the program. Don't forget to watch us on all our social media handles, even as you send us messages, observations and comments. See you next week and stay safe.